like you just gotta practice.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I know what I should do to like get rid of the distractions, but I just keep going back to it. But do you know how to like level up willpower, that you could like practice that every day or not?
Like do instead. Like that's probably the easiest one. Like something that you don't want to do. Something that
just do high level thinking, bro. Just think, why are you not doing that? Why are you not going on TikTok? And high level thinking is the best for willpower. So yeah.
What's high level thinking?
High level thinking is like when you think why you are doing something, not how will you do something. So basically, when you want to go on TikTok, just think why don't you go on TikTok? Not why can't you go on TikTok, right?
All right, bro.
Gentlemen,
I'll take your advice.
how are we doing on?
Yeah, if you are more confident, then the willpower is also.
Let's begin, boys. Apologies for cutting you off there, timer. Okay. So, last few lectures we've been talking about, first of all, we talked about willpower, then the flow state, and then we've started talking about how we're going to use that to make a fuck ton of money. I want to just address something, because there was a post by, I forgot who wrote it, but someone wrote that there is like a seemingly change in narrative in Adonis school, where it seems like you came in to learn how to be an entrepreneur, how to make money, and then recently I've just been speaking about the fact that like, oh yeah, money's not as important, and you should do this, and you should pursue flow states. So I just want to make my mindset towards money and work very clear. I must not have been clear before this. Making a fuck ton of money is very fun. And it can improve your life if you spend it in a few certain ways that have been repeatedly validated by studies. If you spend it on other people, if you spend it on health, if you spend it for freedom, those are the ways that you can use money to improve your life. Spending it on material objects does not add any kind of happiness or well-being to your life. It might do in some sense of like, okay, you get to live out your interest if there's a material object which means a lot to you. Let's say it's like, for example, this is like a Whoop tracker, it's a fitness tracker. This we can say is like a health product which makes my health better. Anything that improves your health improves your life quality significantly. But let's say there's a material object of like just the car. What I'm trying to say in the last few lectures, especially the ones about willpower, is to just break down the reasons why you want a certain thing. And so if right now you want a car, like for example, an entrepreneur I really like, his name's MJ DeMarco, and he wrote a book called The Millionaire Fastlane and also The Great Rat Escape, The Millionaire Fastlane. Who knows this book? Just like wave into your camera just so I can see, because I've done a video on this one. Very, very good book. It's the best book on making money out there. Not even, I don't believe that there's another one which is close at all. I actually think this one's better than one of his newer ones, Life, Liberty, and Entrepreneurship. So if you want to watch, like I did a full guide with him as well. Like I've done a video with him. Oh, what the fuck. Sometimes I turn off my YouTube extensions, and when I go onto YouTube, I look at it and it just grosses me out seeing thumbnails and shit. Like, I turn them off every now and then because, like, to use the community post when I'm writing a post, I've got to turn them off. This one here, this is how Andrew Tate got rich, unscripted by MJ DeMarco. That's a full guide I've done on this topic. So with the author as well. So he hopped on a call and I asked him some questions. Very, very good guy. And for example, he tells his story that for him, a iconic moment for his wealth was to be able to afford a certain car, and that was a huge driving force. If I'm totally honest, I really love him, but like I don't believe that that's a really great way, like a good use of something to spend your money on. Now, of course, you can have different values to me. You can, adopt his line of thinking, you can adopt mine. I'll just tell you from my line of thinking, and chances are if you're listening to my words right now, you probably have like a very similar temperament and values to me. So just as someone who's experienced buying some things or having some material objects, it feels nice for the first like 1 or 2 times that you use the thing. So for example, I have like a $10,000 Rolex. I didn't even buy it, but it was a gift. And I've had a $10,000 a month apartment. These things, like, they feel nice for the novelty, but very soon afterwards, it's kind of like the satisfaction from it just disappears. And what you're left with then, let me draw this for you. I've been liking these little drawing lectures we've been doing. What you're left with after just a little while of buying some kind of material object, you know, there's the how the fuck do you draw a car, bro? Yeah. there's the car, there's the watch. Oh my god, my drawings went even worse, right? The car, the watch and stuff. What happens with these is the anticipation dopamine is very high. So you feel, let's say if this is like the graph of like happiness, well-being, whatever, it's actually quite high on the pursuit of the thing. But when you get it, there's sometimes what might be a little bit of a spike afterwards because you've obtained the thing that you wanted, but very quickly that will actually drop down and it will become just like another thing of yours. It's just an object of yours that you've always had. So this is about what it'll look like this. This is the pursuit of the thing. So the dopamine. So dopamine's always very high when you want something, when you desire something. But the moment you get it, and Huberman backs this as well, is that it pretty much gives you a drop. And it gives you a drop below the baseline. This is the unfortunate thing with materialism that not a lot of people speak about. It seems like level 1 sort of anti-materialism is just kind of like, oh, you know, it's bad for you, whatever. It's like, it's a waste of money and everything. But when you look at it within the scope of like dopamine, the level 2 problem of materialism is that there's the reduction in the baseline of your dopamine. So what this means is like after buying a materialistic purchase, like the house, the fancy house, let's say, like the one that's a little bit overkill, the car, the watch, which no doubt you'll be able to afford if you keep following these principles, which you're learning here. Not only is it like, oh, well, you know, I'll buy it and I don't really care if it doesn't make me happy. The issue is you buy it and it will actually reduce your happiness. It will reduce, like you'll have a tank in dopamine afterwards, like a new baseline, which is lower than what you were at before. So this is why when someone has been working super, super hard for this end goal of being able to buy, like, you know, the motivational thing that they've wanted, they've wanted to be a millionaire, they've wanted to buy the car, whatever. And that drives them, which is awesome. The issue is that when they do actually get there, of course, they're still alive. And then after that, they experience like this dip in depression. So you may have seen some like interviews with millionaires and everything. They were so alive on the pursuit of the goal. And when they eventually got it, it was actually one of the worst times in their lives. This happens a lot with entrepreneurs who eventually have an exit from their business. An exit just kind of means like they've my fucking spelling, bro. Exit just means that they've been building the business and eventually they've sold it. We're probably not going to do that for most of the entrepreneurs here. We're creating more like personal brands. You can't really sell those. But after, imagine like, you know, some guy's made some random product and he's not the face of it. He's not a YouTuber or anything. Eventually he's able to sell it at this point and leave with like 100 million. That's actually one of the worst times of their lives. They were building up this thing that they loved, that they enjoyed working at. They got all the money they could possibly want, but then their sort of pride and joy and fun was just sort of taken away and stopped. And the money hasn't at least increased that much for them. So there's a tweet you can go find by Alex Becker, where he actually talks about the moment that he sold his business for over 100 million. And he said he was bored for like a month straight and he was actually feeling like depressed. And a lot of entrepreneurs say this. So my views with money, if I had to encapsulate it, is that making a lot of money is super fun to do. It gives you a goal to reach for. So I'm not saying that we should be here sat down and just thinking like, oh yeah, we don't need money. Because one, you absolutely do need money in life. And two, let's say you've gotten past the point of needing, like actually needing money. Is anyone there? Like type 1 in the chat if you make more than, let's say, about 10K a month. I wouldn't expect too many. We got a couple of guys. Once you get to that point, the thing is, you don't need to prioritize making money anymore, but it's still enjoyable. It's still a pursuit. It's the game of just getting the score. Money at this point for these guys who are typing 1 has now changed to like a score, and it's like they're just trying to get a higher score. What I would say is, especially for these guys and for everyone else who's listening who hasn't typed 1, when you get to this point when you're making 5, 10K and you don't need to make money anymore, that's the point when you should switch from this ultra scarcity mindset and never ever sacrifice life quality, health, or happiness for this score. Notice how Sakib's just said, it's a game. Games are awesome. Keep playing the game that you want to play for the rest of your life. don't kill yourself over it. Don't get depressed over it. Don't lose sleep over it. This is the issue with many entrepreneurs, because think about how hard this is. For you to get to the point where you can type 1 on this to, get 10K, let's say, 10K a month, which is a lot still. 120K a year is still a lot to make in business. For you to get to that point, you need to be obsessive. You need to be ruthless. You need to cut out like bad friends. You need to pretty much barely spend time with family and literally just focus on minimize your workout so you can just focus on the thing that's going to make you money. And then once you get the freedom, it's like suddenly the best thing you could do is almost peel back and stop sacrificing your health and actually get to like higher levels of thinking so that you can make better decisions, because now you've got leverage and you don't want to fuck that up. And it's this night and day difference where many entrepreneurs fail. Getting to 10K a month is not the end zone. It's actually the start. And that's actually when it gets like more difficult, because at 10K a month, like this is going to sound slightly insultive, but also whatever, like I'm accumulating, I'm also in this phase. For the first like few million that you make, you're still a complete retard, honestly. Like complete, like obviously 10K a month, 100 and something K for the year. You have to assume that when you make that, you're still like dangerously stupid. I still keep that in my mind as well. Like, okay, I'm on track to make probably about 2 or 3 million this year. I keep it in mind all the time that like chances are I'm actually very stupid and oblivious and ignorant to a lot of like how the world works. The issue is when you're making 100K a year in business or $1 million a year, you're the smartest, most successful person in your circle. So you feel like a big dog. You feel like you're always right. This is the issue. So at the same time, obviously, you want to be thinking positive about yourself. You don't want to be, thinking negative thoughts all the time. But it's just a weird counterintuitive thought where you need to stay humble whilst also thinking thoughts of strength. Make fuck ton of money, especially once you get out of the scarcity stage where like, you don't need money to survive and keep on the heat and to be able to eat food, and, your parents aren't working in like unsafe jobs. Once you get out of there, it would really do you well to change over to more of an empowering mindset about money, and to think to yourself that it's not going to give you like a 0 to 1 life benefit that much anymore. At that point, it's very important that you don't sacrifice your health to make the money, or your relationships as well. I think that sums up my experience of making money. And one thing I will say is it is awesome to make money and to spend money on the right things. So recently I've been talking about the fact that, you don't need money, like willpower, flow state, stoicism. I just want to quickly give you a little bit of motivation before we begin the actual lecture. I want to go on a trip. It's nice that everything on this list is affordable. The price doesn't actually impact me. It doesn't matter. Like some of them you can see are quite expensive, 7K. It's like the price isn't actually going to change anything. I want to go and get some of the best supplements available with a custom health test where they send out a doctor, they see my stats, and then they send me like literally like pills that have got like these little ingredients. I can afford that. There's no price that's too high. It's like a few hundred a month or whatever it is. Doesn't matter. I want to get perfect sleep. I don't even need to put in good effort for it. I can just buy this $3,000 mattress, this mattress cover, and it perfectly regulates my temperature, which means that my sleep is about 20 or 30% better instantly because I was able to spend $3,000 on this, or $2,000. I want to go and learn more from teachers because I want like other people's wisdom. This is what my Google Calendar looks like. I've just kind of taken out a lot of the fluff in this just to just trying like a different thing. But I have a storytelling call with one of the best storytellers in the world who wrote a phenomenal book on it. I just had a call with this guy who taught me about breath work and trauma release. This was like £145. Didn't even bat an eyelid to it. Any skill you want to go and learn, I can't really show you my Instagram, but there's like yoga studios nearby, and I can just message them telling them like, I want to do a private session, which essentially means their whole place needs to be empty just for me. And they're going to charge me £80 for that, which means that I get someone who's got 10 years of experience looking at me and giving me genuinely more than 50 to 100 times more feedback in our 1 hour than I would get in like a normal class. This is, at least in my opinion, this is my values. I think this is some of the best ways to spend money. Buying this education, buying other people's time, like skillful time. Like, for example, what you've done here in Adonis School, you've been able to, for example, learn YouTube from a guy who's already got 2 million. You've been able to learn about business and stuff from the success that I've built so far. This gives you a special advantage over other people. Buying years of other people's experience. And often you only need about 20 hours to catch up to, like, you know, their 10 years of experience. When you get a guy teaching you for about 20 hours straight and he's staring at you as you do something, obviously that's like an intensive level. Like, my one-to-one time would be too expensive. But if, for example, it was going to be one-to-one time, you'd put me on a live call whilst you record a YouTube video. Imagine that. And imagine if I literally, like, as you were talking, I'd shout, oh, wait, say it like this. There we go. That video is 5% better. Every 5% increase in your video gets you more, like 1,000% increase in views. Oh yeah, say this inside. No, say it like this. Very powerful, isn't it? Immediate feedback. So far what we've discussed in these how to make money lectures, we've got up to the point where we've been talking about the flow state, which is what I believe this is how our business should start from. We should start with flow first. Who can write in the chat what flow is? Flow is being in the zone. It's having no thought. It's effortless effort. That's a good word. Flow, we'll just say, is when you're doing something, but there's no thoughts whilst you do it. This is like an optimal experience of life. Usually you'll go through life with probably around 99% of your whole existence, of your waking existence, with bullshit in your mind. And when you think about it, this is actually your life experience. Your life experience is just what thoughts are playing in your mind or what emotions are running through your body. Even for deeply spiritual and religious guys who've been able to overcome this, masters of meditation and men who have merged into one with the light and whatever, like, you know, like deep things that these guys have got to. The thing is, even for those type of guys, their experience of life is still largely here. It's actually almost pathetic and laughable just how little, like, being deeply religious or spiritual or meditating for 50 years actually changes your experience of life. It'd probably go to about 95% maybe if you're a master meditator. So your experience of life is just the thoughts that play in your mind and the emotions that run into your body. So when you think about the fact that most people keep these thoughts negative, or they don't ever even consider finding the work where there is no thoughts for, you know, a few hours per day, it almost seems kind of silly that people would choose work where they're still going to have these negative thoughts. Because just the question I always ask, just type in 1 if you'd agree. If you put in about 8 to 10 hours of focused time and effort per day, you could probably get like a reasonable amount of success in any sort of business model, topic, sport. Even if you're not like very sporty, even if you're not very tall. If you practice basketball for 10 hours a day, every single day for 5 years, you'd probably get kind of good at it, right? And if not good enough to be like some professional, probably good enough to teach it to other people and make a great living out of that. I think because a lot of us here, like, because we're on self-improvement, naturally we have this growth mindset. We believe that we can probably get success in like anything, which actually makes it kind of hard because that makes, you know, this picture here, when you believe you can get success in anything you do, then it's like, okay, well, how do you choose the thing that you want to do then? You know, here's all the different business models. Should I do agency? Should I be a YouTuber? Should I do drop shipping, e-com? Should I, you know, it's very hard to choose them when you could do each and every single one. And so you keep flipping around, and this is, you know, type 1 in chat. Is this your experience? You just keep flipping around your interests. Okay, which business model? Boom, boom, boom. This is where most young guys are. And so my answer to that is start with flow first. Start with the daily grind that you want. What this means is, instead of thinking about the success that you want, think about the daily grind, the tasks that you actually would genuinely want to do today if you were already a millionaire. This is where we've got up to so far. So by this time, I'd like everyone to at least acknowledge one flow task they might have. Type yours in chat right now. I'll type mine as well. Mine is speaking. We're looking for a very specific task. So Elliot wrote art. I would say, okay, make it more specific. What part of art is it? Is it the drawing? Is it, I don't know much about art, but like make it super specific. Make it super specific. So notice for mine I've noticed is specifically speaking. I don't say teaching. I don't say recording videos. I don't say being a YouTuber. What is the genuine, very, very specific part? That's what we want. Writing on my PC is a very good way to describe it, yeah. Ayush said learning. I'd make that more specific. How do you learn? Because it almost seems like common sense to ask this, but think about it. Like, how do you, like, what is learning? You already know in your mind, but it's important that you clarify it, because if you go around thinking, okay, my flow state task is learning, 6 months from now, you might end up going down like this tunnel that you didn't mean to, because you needed to identify from the start that your flow state task isn't learning. It's specifically reading books, or it's specifically like watching long unedited YouTube videos or podcasts. And that's how you actually learn and stay focused. It should be super, super specific. So I wouldn't say learning. I'd say, for example, mine is reading. Can your flow state task change? Yeah, I wonder. I'm not sure if it would change. I think you might end up discovering new ones. I think if it would change, like if there's something that would put you into a flow, but it no longer does, I would wonder if there's some other issue popping up, like some, I don't know, diet or sleep or whatever like that. So we want to already have clarified our flow state task. Boom. Now we're going to start making some money. But first, we need to know who we're going to be doing this for. Because there's a word, who knows what the word market refers to when it comes to making money? What is the market? Once you understand this, you start making a lot more money. It's the people. But there's a special word that we want to put before people. The market that you should be caring about is your people. This makes business and careers and everything like that a billion times easier to understand. You see, most guys in your space will be thinking right now, okay, how do I make money? What business model can I get into? It's literally like level 0 thinking. It's just chasing the money as much as possible. What we need to do, we've already figured out our flow state task, the thing that we like actually kind of enjoy, that gives us no thoughts in the day, which means that we'll naturally crave it and want to do it as much as possible, which means that we'll get good at it because we'll put in 10 times more effort and stay consistent on it because we actually enjoy it. Now we want to start to figure out who are our people. Most people don't ever do this. What they'll do is they'll literally just think, okay, what makes money right now? Tate said dropshipping. Okay, I'll do that. Hamza said YouTube, so I'll do that. But if you start first with the task, the skill that you can get into, which is the specific flow state, 0 thoughts, and then you ask yourself, how can I use this as a gift for my people? Who, first of all, are my people? And I want to give them a gift because I care about them. And think about where we've got up to already. We've already got up to the what you're going to do for money, the skill, like the service that you're going to have. And we've already just clarified the who. Think about how much more clarity you're going to have in your messaging and your marketing now when you realize what we're trying to do is use our gift, the flow state. Let me write this down. What we want to do is use our flow state task as a gift for our people. What you need to do is, first of all, find out your flow state task. Then you need to do is just find out who is your people. Who do you care about? Maybe type it in the chat. Who do you care about? For me, let's say it's young men. For Bill and Miranda Gates, it's people in Africa who are currently dying from dehydration. Who are your people that you actually care about? Who you genuinely, literally genuinely want to help? This is where like business becomes so much more wholesome and purposeful. When you start with this and you think to yourself, okay, well, this is like, I don't know if it's hitting anyone else, but like I went down the whole, okay, which business model, dropshipping, this one. When I thought about it like this, it was just so simple. This is why you become an entrepreneur. You have some kind of gift, like some kind of skill, service, and you want to specifically give it to the people that you care about, and you also would like to get paid for it as well. Step 1. Step 2. How can you find your people? I feel like a lot of journaling and introspectiveness would be nice here. Staring at your wall, journaling, letting yourself think deep thoughts without constantly looking over at your devices. Maybe after this lecture, if you literally just want to like resist the temptation to quickly go and do something, go and make the next meal, go and set up your computer for something else, literally just like turn everything off and just sit there like a weirdo, just in an empty room. We don't do this anymore, but every single great thinker of history has just sat there in an empty room in like a rocking chair with a cigar or like, I don't know, like some warm milk or something. And they've just thought deeply about problems. Who do you emphasize with? Imagine you were a billionaire right now. Imagine everything was just free for you. What would you do? Who would you try and like spend your time helping with? Naturally, when people become financially free, their focus changes onto helping a specific type of person. That's pretty much what focus becomes on some kind of self-transcending purpose, in the sense that like this, I should actually just change this. What is your cause? That's maybe a better word for it. Apologies. Actually, that would be a better word. It doesn't have to be people. So it could be the environment. It could be animals. It could be some kind of like, I don't know, connection to God or something. It doesn't necessarily have to be people. Just generally the best businesses are on people, because then you can monetize the help that you give them. What is your cause? Think about that. If you were absolutely financially free and you could create some kind of positive impact on the world, what would it be? Type it in the chat. What is like a mission, a cause, a movement? That if you were a multi-billionaire, you were like, you know what? This is what I'm seeing with the world. I'm kind of bored because I don't just want to be, sat here retired. I want to do something with my life. I may as well do that. This is what I want to do. And so Sakib's one, obviously you're joking, saying like become Batman, but you know what's very interesting? Think about what the cause actually is, because it's not so much just becoming Batman. It's that you want to go and save people. It's that you want to make your city, your town, your village safer. When you start with a business, like a mission like this, you are far ahead. Think about everyone who's just wrote in chat, and you can type in your message if you want, like what's your movement? Think about how much further ahead you are than the autists in Hustlers University, which are just flipping around from one business model to the next one. Oh, yeah, maybe it's dropshipping. Yeah. Taking down industries, wanting to destroy degeneracy, wanting to stop young men from being addicted to porn. These are things that you will genuinely wake up with this like burning urge inside of you, and you'll happily work 12 hours a day. And when there's a guy, let's say you're going to do that through content, through YouTube, to stop guys from watching porn because you realize how much of a problem it is. And there's another guy who's on YouTube just because he's trying it to try and make money. And he's doing it for barely 1 or 2 hours a day. And you're literally doing it, sweating, thinking to yourself that you want to help these guys. And you're doing it for more like 10 hours a day. Who's going to win? Who's going to win? So naturally, when you care this much, when you start with a cause, you'll go and get to the next level. You'll hop on calls with people for free, and you'll start coaching them, and naturally you'll gain like better understanding of the topic and the people you're helping. This is what separates like weak entrepreneurs from the stronger ones. It's always cause and purpose. At the same time though, we still want to make a fuck ton of money whilst we do this. A great market. So market is like, okay, the type of people. So what we've said is we've got a cause. Our cause is to help young men get on their self-improvement. Our cause is to reduce the amount of plastics that are produced and eventually make plastics like illegal because they're estrogenic, or, you know, to reverse the problems there. Our cause is to help even our own physical community. We don't even care about the world. We just want to care about the next, like, you know, few miles where we live. Right now, just type in chat. Just type 1. Are you here right now? You know your flow state task. You're realizing it's a gift, and you're starting to figure out your cause, your people. Who's there right now? Type 1. I know my flow state task. That's my gift that I'm going to give. And I also know the kind of people that I want to help / like the cause, the movement, something like that. Okay, quite a lot of us. And then just type 2 if you're not there just yet. Type 2 if specifically, actually, sorry. Type 3 if you specifically don't know your flow state task, and type 4 if you can't think of like the people or the cause, just so I can see where we've got a stuck amounts. Okay, so a fairly even split. Quite a lot of us don't know our flow state task and our people. Flow state task. We've done a couple of videos on this, and I've also just put it on a full guide on YouTube, so I won't cover this anymore just to like not bore people. So just go do that. There's a call recording which I'll link after this, and you can just go watch it there, where I've talked about how to find your flow state task, and I gave more details about that. And then the full guide I've just posted on YouTube will help you as well. For the guys who typed number 4, to find your people, the easiest way is to just say like yourself, and to ask yourself, okay, what kind of categories or groups do I belong in? You're a young man. It might be, for example, your race, your heritage, your religion. It might be your social status. It might be like how much money you make. So, for example, let's say, okay, you're a lower class Pakistani. That could be your cause. Generally, we want to help people who are similar to us. And so if that was your cause, thinking, okay, I want to help some of like the sort of like poor Pakistani areas in my country, you're going to wake up early and start smashing work that's actually going to be helping them. We'll move to this bit now. Now let's talk about the market. So the market is just simply just the people. And there's a few principles that we do want to look out for. I don't think that this is what we should prioritize, but it's just worth discussing them. This is what a good market has. Anyone know this already? The four principles or category, how would you explain? The 4 like parts of a great market. Hormozi talks about this in his book. Anyone know them? Just type a few if you know them in chat. Let's see if we've got any. Sakib's there, nice. Money, need, value specific. I'll give you the first one we've got is pain. Second we've got is purchasing power. I'll just say that they've got money. Easy. I'll just say find. This one's almost irrelevant these days because of online communities and then growing. So really, we can even move this to just 3 of them. If we almost forget this one, and we just make this like this, 3. There's pretty much just 3 things we really need to look out for. 1, they need to be in pain. There needs to be some kind of problem that your people are going through. What is the problem? What is the pain? So for everyone who typed before that, you know, okay, what your market is. What is like a common pain for them? What's a problem right now that like needs to be solved? So for me, for example, I can say young men are addicted to porn and that's bad for them. I can say young men are lonely. I can say young men are struggling to find their place in the modern world when women also make a lot of money, which means that men have lost their purpose. Young men are purposeless. What is the pain that your people are going through? Just type that in chat. Just spend like a minute to think about that. Just ask yourself that question. What is the pain that my people are going through? What's the greatest pain that they have? And what I would say is acknowledge what pain they would tell you, but also note down their primal pain. So what we'll say is there's a conscious pain. This is like some high level shit, so I'd really take this seriously. There's a conscious pain. This is like what they're going to tell you is the problem. So young guys will say, for example, it's about making money, right? Who's feeling this pain right now? It's about making money. Type 1 in the chat. This is what, every time I do like a poll, this is what everyone will reply with. The problem is making money, or sometimes some people will say like fitness, right? This is like the conscious one. This is what they're going to look out for. This is what they're going to like be buying and everything. But the truth is the conscious pain often isn't actually their true core primal desire. What is the core primal desire for everyone who's just typed 1? Maybe it's health, to be able to actually like afford food. It's freedom. In general, for most young guys, it's pretty much the fuck. Even though you wouldn't want to admit it, it's pretty much like, in the end, pretty much everything comes down to this. It's these pure primal desires of like, I want to live. I want to have sex / love. I want to have friends. It's these very pure primal desires. I want to have status. So let's say, for example, your cause is helping young men study because you're realizing that young men are falling behind in the education system. Their pain is that they're getting bad grades. And so the conscious pain that they're thinking is, I'm getting bad grades. I need to help. I need to solve this problem of getting bad grades. What their real primal problem is that they're actually low status in their family because all of their family gets high grades and they feel like shit being below everyone. That's what you target. You don't talk to them about grades. You like subtly tell them the story of how you were the lowest performing person in your family and that everyone hated you for it, but then you improved your grades and then everyone likes you because what you're really selling is fucking love. This is how you like triple your sales. Just figure out the core primal desire. They'll never tell you that it's that. They'll never tell you. But every great marketer, every good company knows this. Remember when we used to watch like normal TV? I don't think any of us really watch TV anymore, but like normal TV. And, between like the TV show, the cartoon we'd watch, there'd be, what was it, like a 5-minute ad break? And they'd show like, it's a children's program, but they'd show like an ad for parents. And it would be like a woman, like a married woman. And it's an advert for a Hoover, like a vacuum, which like cleans the floor. Oh no! And what happens in the advert? Oh no! Like the kid spilt the thing on the floor, and the supermom's gonna have to clean it up. What are they selling? What are they selling right now? First of all, who are they selling to? Because it's playing between a children's TV show, but they are pretty smart. They know that if a children's watching it, they know that probably mother's watching it as well. What are they selling? Because they're not actually selling the vacuum. They know that the conscious desire of the mothers who are watching this, they know the conscious desire is the vacuum. Oh, maybe we can get a better vacuum. The primal thing that they're selling is love. Love, sex, intimacy, family. Because what happens in all these adverts? She uses the product, she cleans up the mess that was made, and then right at the end, you see like a quick little few seconds of her husband coming in and giving her a big hug and a kiss, and the children are all happy. That's what they're selling. That's what they're selling. They know that the primal desire is actually not, nobody was born to buy a vacuum. It's always these type of things. It's status, it's love, it's sex. For me, I'm selling you sex and love. It's the most effective thing that I can sell you. That's that status as well. That's why you're in here today. Even though you'll consciously cope and say, no, oh yeah, it's no, I don't care about that, bro. I'm on semen retention. Shut the fuck up. These are the things that we actually want. It's never the sales page that we've got. It's never the Dubai picture or anything like that, man. It's just the status. So this is the pain. We're trying to relate to their pain. We want a conscious pain. This is the one they're going to cope with. And then we want a primal pain. And we want to know both of these. And we want to start with the conscious one. And we almost want to play the game of pretending that we're selling the conscious. We're going to help you with the conscious pain. And we just want to subtly mention, and by the way, you'll get the primal desire that you crave so much. Yes, I know about it. So there's a few subtle sentences on my sales page. It's like, oh yeah, you guys want money? I'll teach you how to make money, and business models, yeah. And then you'll have money, and then you'll have a pretty girl on your arms, and then you'll make money, yeah. That's it. Now you didn't consciously read that one sentence and think, okay, oh sweet, okay, Hamza's gonna help me get pussy, fantastic. But your little lizard brain just clicked, and you forked over the cash. Whether you admit it or not, it's like a large part of the reason why you're here in Adonis school for your pursuit of money is because you don't want to be lonely. And there's no problem with that at all. I'll admit that right now, of course. I don't want to be lonely either. This is how you sell. The second point is your market, your people kind of need to have money. Now, this is where a lot of guys get stuck. Because think about my market. Unsuccessful, broke, low status, porn addicted, video game addicted, degenerate young men. They don't have a lot of money, do they? So it almost seems like I've picked a terrible market and I'm destined to be like a broke person myself. I'm not going to be able to sell anything. But you can see I've actually done quite well. So this is one to just be careful of, because most people when they think about this, okay, does my market have money? I've seen a lot of our even students inside of Adonis school cope and say like, oh no, but like, I'm a young guy, these guys don't have money, so I can't charge that much for my products. And I always say the same thing. Okay, you're selling to like 16-year-olds and you want them to come into your private community or to buy your course, you're a YouTuber and stuff, right? I always tell them the same thing. Look at your friends. Their shoes. How much is trainers these days? Like what, $100? Little AirPods that they've got. How much are those? Like 200? iPhone there. How much is that? That's like 1,000 or so. I don't know how much this shit is, right? Trainers are at the minimum 200, right? So I always say this, like, how many guys even believe that? Like, okay, just type 1 in chat. You somewhat believe, maybe before I said this, that your people, your market, don't actually have enough money to buy like an expensive product. Just type 1 and just be honest. Because I would have typed 1 for a very long time. But then of all the guys who have typed 1, type 2, if your market have got smartphones, they've got like within the last few years of an iPhone, they've got trainers that are over $100. They've got like a bunch of Apple products. They've got like a fancy MacBook and everything. And some people say, oh, but you need these essentials and stuff. I need my kicks. I need my Nike trainers and stuff. That doesn't count. It's like, well, yeah, you're selling them a primal desire anyway. So they need that shit anyway. So if you're believing right now that your people won't have enough money for like the product that you want to sell, I don't think it's, I don't think that's very logical. I think specifically if you're like, okay, I'm trying to help absolute people in poverty, okay, that's going to get a bit difficult. But if you're like, for example, my market is like just young guys who are somewhat broke these days, they can still afford like $1,000. There's poverty where they can't afford $50. And then there's like broke where they can afford something for a few $100s, but it's going to be painful for them. Reasonably, people can afford up to like $1,000. You can still get a fair amount of sales in that. And finally, growing. This is a very nice one. You want your market, your people, your problem to be growing long term. You want that to be like more and more and more. So Alex Hormozi is where I've actually gotten this bit of advice from. And in his book, he talks about the problem of like one of his businessmen, one of his friends. He's trying to sell to like newspapers, like he's selling to like newspaper businesses or something. And he's wondering why his sales keep going down. And it's because the newspaper businesses, like companies, are going down significantly because people just don't buy newspapers anymore. So is your target market growing? Is there more people in this market over time? So what do you think? For my niche of young men who need or want to get onto self-improvement, is it growing or is it getting smaller? Which one? It's growing. Because every year there's actually more people who are looking into self-improvements. Every single year. Growing like crazy. Not only specifically people looking into self-improvement, but also people who need this. How about What's another one? How about you're going to sell to people who want to become agency owners? Is that growing or is it getting less? It might be worth, like, we seeing the actual data, but I'd assume it's growing. How about you're almost like a person who owns property in Dubai? Is that going up or is it going down? Again, we'd probably want to see the real data, but yeah, it seems like it's going up. You don't want to be, probably not wanting to get into a one that's getting smaller. How about your market, your people are Christians? Growing or getting smaller? Again, this would be up to debate, actually. But yeah, generally it's getting smaller. It seems to be. It's like the numbers still very massive, but most people aren't actually religious, and every year less and less people are being religious. So just bear that in mind and just ask yourself, is your total, like the population of your people, is it getting bigger? You just don't want it to be that suddenly there's not like a market for the thing that you're selling because those people have just suddenly disappeared. Any questions on these three? So Sandra said, isn't a smaller target good sometimes? It absolutely can be. You can still make a lot of money with like a smaller target space. It's just that it's not about it being small. It's that you specifically don't want it to continually get smaller. Because like if you're selling to newspaper companies, after like what, another 5 years, it's like, where the fuck is that company? Where's that business, that market gone now? Newspapers were so big, a few years ago, and it's just dropped, flatlined. And every year it goes down by about 25%. Imagine setting up your business, getting really, really into it and everything, and suddenly it's like there's almost no market for it 5 years from now. You want to just think ahead by about 5 years and think to yourself, is this going to be popping? I'd like it to. Now, these three things that we've talked here, they're not like absolute set in stone. Just be aware of them, and when you find one which checks all three, awesome. But just ask yourself, like, don't cope or don't be like, don't have like an insecure mindset, like a sad mindset, thinking, oh man, my people don't have money. Because imagine if I thought that, and I ended up changing my market like 3 years ago because I was convinced that young guys don't have money. Just when in doubt, just look at this picture and just think to yourself, kids have trainers these days. They've got AirPods, they've got iPhones. This is the order of things that we've covered so far. Pick the flow. Pick the people/cause. The next part is going to be making the product. This is actually the thing that we're going to sell for cash. Now, just have a look at the order that we've went about this, which is, in my opinion, a much more intelligent order. This is the exact opposite of how most young guys are getting into business. And correct me if, type 1 in chat, did you go about it the other way around? You started by searching how to make money online. You watch those videos, top 7 ways to make 10,000 a month. You started with that because it seemed like a good idea, right? When you chase the money, you're left with this experience, which I think so many guys relate to. It's like, okay, business model, which one should I do? Okay, this one, which one should I do? Okay, who knows? It's just a mind fuck, isn't it? Because when you start with the product, it's like you know nothing right now. You don't even know who you're going to try and sell to. You're like a horny guy. It really is. When guys do it like this, they really remind me of like horny guys who learn like pickup artist or cold approaching, red pill stuff, because they go out with like the the intention to start with sex. And so they're just weird and like just, you know, like almost smelly and soulless the way that they've got the look in their eyes, because that's what they're chasing for. And what they're thinking is, okay, I'll try and get sex. And then after that, there'll be like a bond, like, you know, some kind of connection and, you know, maybe a relationship or something. And this becomes like this weird, like these guys seem really weird. And it's because they're going about it this way instead of this way. So just be careful you don't act like a horny pickup art, like a horny, skinny, fat guy who's looking into pickup artistry, who's going to go and cold approach like women in the mall or something today. Think about how that perspective, like, you know, that concept is if this guy is going out speaking to random women. That's how you've been navigating business. The order that you go about this is extremely important. You want to start, like with a girl, for example, you want to start with the sort of compatibility. You want to start with the effective communication to know, okay, do you actually like this girl? And I'm not saying you've got to wait till marriage or anything like that, but it's like you want to start with at least something there and then get to sex afterwards. But when you're just there trying to get, like, literally, like, just caring about body count, not even caring about that, even having sex, it's just the validation that you'll get. It makes you worse at even getting the thing that you want, because then you become, like, needy, right? You become this weird, needy guy. It's just like this smelly personality that these guys have. And obviously, I'm talking about my younger self here. What you want is to go through the right order. I was going to wait for the next lecture to go over the creating your product one, just to keep it nice and clean. Any questions on what we've covered today? Specifically about your people/cause and about the market as well. Any questions on that? Write that in chat and let's see if we've got any consistent questions. And if you see a question that you like, also do the emoji, react to it so I can see which ones are popular. Is your people part of core purpose or a layer? Do you think this is subject to change often? Yeah, sure. You shouldn't expect that the business you get into now is the one that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. If you do assume that you're going to be a businessman for the rest of your life, it's very, very common to see that a long-term businessman has actually lots of businesses. When you see E-Man, for example, I think he's like 23 years old, super successful. And I think he's had like 4 different businesses at this point. I've had this major one, YouTube, but at the same time, like there was a bunch, like a whole fucking crash and burn of like 5 different businesses, you know, when I was doing that like dot-to-dot shit before. So yeah, expect it to change. But I expect it to change, but don't act as if it will. If that makes sense. Like, you know, have the foresight to think, yeah, you know, most business guys, they'll stay in business for the rest of their lives because it's unlikely that you'll just want to get a career or something. And at the same time, you don't want to be having this kind of mindset of like, oh no, but you know, I'll be leaving this business, so I'm not going to take it seriously. I'm not going to be thinking long term. You want to start every business with the long term in mind, because you don't actually know how long you'll be in there for. But you should assume, especially your people, will probably change, because your people, like, you know, you change as a person, and so your people will change. Mine is young guys who are trying to, you know, navigate life, get onto self-improvement. 10 years from now, it probably won't be, because I won't be like a young man anymore. So 10 years from now, my purpose and my people might change to me just helping like men who are fathers and getting them onto like more of self-improvement, for example. How long would you expect for you to find your flow states? I don't understand the question, sorry. How long would you expect to like find your flow state? Like, I think it's like an ever-growing experience. I think you'll naturally find certain tasks that put you into a flow. I'd say if you don't know, just type 1 in the chat if you have absolutely no idea what your flow state could be. Okay, fair amount of guys. So for these guys typing 1, I'd ask them, just go and be vigilant. Go about your same life and just stay vigilant of the times when you feel super present, when you have no thoughts in your mind. Just like really be aware of that. You'll do something which you probably often do. And if you stay aware of this, maybe you want to write this as like a note on your phone or something, like, like when am I in a flow state? When is there a block of time when I have no thoughts in my mind? You might end up, I don't know, working out or speaking to a friend or speaking to your mother or gardening or, going for a walk in the grass or something. And suddenly like you get the realization like, oh shit, I haven't actually, like the demons have left me for the last like half an hour. That's kind of nice, man. This is why I like this activity so much. This is why a lot of guys like going to the gym so much. They think it's because of like the masculine things. It's just because you're in a flow state when you're lifting weights. That's why it feels so pleasurable, because when you're there trying to hit the PR, you often don't get like a demon thought. This is why making love and having sex is so pleasurable, because you often won't get that many negative thoughts or just thoughts at all when you're really present in it. This is why spending time with other people is often like one of the most consistent flow states that we'll ever get. It's just that when you're having like a good bonding experience with someone, you often won't have extra thoughts. Sometimes you do if it's with like a shit conversation or something. Let's see these questions. How much money should you spend on your business before making profits? Yeah, really good question. There's so many different answers to that, Arnie, but that's a really good question. I think taking Alex Becker's advice, I really like it. So what Arnie's asked is like, let's say you're making money from your business. Should you just reinvest all of it, or should you take profits out and then kind of spend that in your own life? And you can do this all the way up to making millions and literally still be living in like your parents' house and still spending every dollar back onto the business. When you do that, it makes you a fucking lethal entrepreneur. Because when you imagine the guy like Sam Walton and Warren Buffett, for example, where they lived in like the same house for 40 years, they did not care about these materialistic objects. They made money and just put it back into the business, back into the business, back into the business, back into the business. That's very hard to compete against. The guy who's kind of like, who's spending the money on the lifestyle, on he's taking the money out of the business to like spend himself, to get the house, to get the car. He doesn't get to spend that back onto the business. So I'd say this is very individual, and I don't even want to give you an answer because I've got no idea. I'd say, who knows? Honestly, I think maybe all of us have like a range of what we think is fine, and maybe it's depending on how much you care about the business growth. You probably want to be on the lower end of it. So right now, let's say I'm in a super dedicated part for business. I won't take much profits out. I won't take much money out for my personal life. Let's say like I've got to where I am now, where I've dedicated my life to this business over the last few years, especially the last 6 months. I've been working 12 hours a day. I'm genuinely like a social retard. I can't even speak to people in public anymore. It's like, okay, come on, what I mean? Let me like go and live my life a little bit, right? What if my flow state is hard to monetize? That's really the issue. Like, so if your flow state, for example, mine is very easy because of speaking, and speaking naturally will come into creating content, and that's awesome to monetize. But let's say, for example, use flow state, like one guy said, is drinking water, just as an example. Now, you're not probably going to make money from just doing that. Now, you could become like some competitive water drinker and you can drink the most out of everyone. That could be one. But in general, like some of the best ways to make money is just by making content on social media or using code to make some kind of website, service, app for it. They're the two best ways to make money right now. And so if you can use that, so for example, whatever your flow state is, if you can make social media content, that's one of the greatest ways to make money, even though like making social media content might not be your flow state. But if you recorded yourself doing it, if you gain an audience of people who literally just like watching you drink water, which I know sounds silly, but it's like, bro, there's a guy out there right now with 10,000 subscribers who makes more than 10K a month, and all he does is drink water. Guarantee it, there's already a guy doing it, so it's like, why not you? So, but now the flow state task, for example, it might not be to set up the camera and to record. There's going to be a little bit of a sacrifice. So when I was first starting off, let's say speaking was my flow state, but I still had to edit my own videos and stuff. So, you sacrifice some time. But that's the way I would do it, is I'd try and spend as much of my time as possible doing the flow state task, and specifically also leveling up the skill of it. So if mine is speaking, I'd speak for a good few hours a day, but I'd also specifically read books on speaking to get better at it. If I was this water drinker, I'd spend as much of my time drinking water because that gives you a huge level of pleasure and everything. You naturally get better. But I'd also go and watch a bunch of resources and learn about how to do it better so that you start training the skill. I'll do one more question and then we'll end off to today. There's actually a guy on TikTok who does a water review. Yeah, exactly that. ASMR water drinkers, yeah. Yeah, you can make money from any flow state. There's people in just doing water bottle reviews. Now, you're playing a little bit with it. It's like yours was just to drink water, but now you're going to have to fucking do like a review. That wasn't part of the flow state, but it's like, you can see how you can merge that. So for example, yours could be training in the gym and hitting PRs puts you into a perfect flow state. Okay, awesome. You don't want to become a personal trainer. This is what a lot of guys do, and it's actually the complete wrong move. Just you enjoy specifically lifting the weights. To think that you're going to enjoy watching other people lift the weights is actually completely like idiotic, isn't it? But so many people in fitness do this. They think, oh, well, I like going to the gym, so I'll become a personal trainer. No, it's the opposite. You like hitting PRs, so be the person who hits the PRs. Don't watch other people hit their PRs. Be, again, you can use social media, you can use content, you can build up a following with this. You can have people like literally just live stream you hitting PRs all the time. You can then add a little, like that's your flow, but you can add a little bit of an extra task, which is where you teach how to hit PRs. We'll leave it there, boys. Next lecture is going to be massive. We're going to be talking about the product. I know that's the bit which would probably want to jump right in so you know exactly what to sell. Because, we spoke about vague things so far, the flow state and everything. We're going to actually create the product that we're going to sell. It's very important that we went through these first earlier levels, though, so that you've actually got a great foundational baseline for entrepreneurship. I'll see you here 3 p.m. tomorrow. Mwah. W in the chat, boys.